Hey, welcome everybody to podcast number 46, presented by 5 Pin Universe. I'm your host, Karie Kreutz. We got the two Wiseman twins, Adam Weber, and it's been 42 long episodes since Jeff Young has been on our podcast from Elmira, Ontario. We'd just like to thank him for coming back on. He's hosting the club tour this coming weekend, so we want to hit on some of those topics.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So Jeff, Mitch has been posting on social media lately that you and him are planning on doing some small videos throughout the weekend, interviews and stuff like that. And just let us know your thoughts on it. I do believe he was thinking like the Brad and Kyle YouTube kind of stuff that was going on in 10-pin.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like Brad and Kyle go, I haven't really watched any of that stuff. But I do feel like there's an opportunity here for us to put something together, some sort of content aside from your typical live streams or tournament boards, or just something for people to keep track of. Maybe like a little inside kind of scoop on how things go. And I do think that, Mitch is really good at articulating questions and very thoughtful ideas. And he would be perfect for, putting something together. And I do know like our plans are to interview some people and feel them out and see how they think things went, and catch them before they start, and what are their objectives or their goals for the tournament, and how they think things are going to go, and like a wrap up, and hopefully this opens doors for us to do a lot more things that we don't typically see. And I think we can grab an opportunity, and I always say that the one thing that our sport does very poorly, and thankfully you guys are here to change that, is we've got so many personalities in 5-pin bowling and nobody sees them. And a lot of times you'll see a name and you know nothing about them other than that, hey, that person's a good bowler. And it'd kind of be nice to break it down a little bit and show people that, hey, there's a ton of personality at the highest level of bowling. And maybe that kind of sparks more interest, and maybe gets people out a little bit more often in our tournaments. I know you guys do a really good job of having a wide array of abilities and averages that come out to yours, but we don't necessarily have that in our tournaments. So maybe if we kind of show there's a little bit more of a personable aspect to what we're doing out here, maybe we can get some comparable numbers.
Mm-hmm. I know for me, whenever I watch sports or movies, music, I'm all about the personalities. All my favorite, one of my favorite hockey players of all time is Ilya Bryzgalov, because the guy had nothing but personality. He may not have been the best goalie, but he was honest and truthful and hilarious. And then I used to listen to Kanye all the time, and then he turned into a complete dick. And now I can't listen to him anymore. Like, the personalities are so huge. So you're absolutely right. It's good that we can finally, show some personalities out there, and then maybe we'll get more viewers being, and it's like, this guy's my favorite player. I want to watch him play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think too. Like, I mean, I don't spend a whole lot of time watching bowling content on YouTube, but the one thing that I do watch a lot of, and to a lot of people might seem a bit ridiculous, I'm huge into bass fishing, and I follow a lot of the big elite tournament fishermen. Some of those guys have the greatest personalities, and there's two guys in particular that I absolutely like. I find them so funny to watch, and I mean, they'll shoot like a travel video, and just their personality that comes out. And I actually took something that they do and applied it to not 5-pin bowling, but to duck pin bowling, and it actually took off really well. So whenever time they caught a really big fish, they'd always have like their imaginary bell, and they'd be like, ding, every time they caught one. So every time I threw a strike in the duck pin tournament, that's what I did. I was like, ding. And by like the fourth or fifth game, like not only my pair, but like the pair beside me, they were all doing it too. Like every time I throw a strike, I wouldn't even have to do it anymore. They'd be like, ding, like so, like that type of stuff. Like we need that, I think, and like I said before, we have so much personality, but unless you're in it, you don't know. There's quite a few characters that we all know that as soon as we say their name, it's just like, oh yeah, like I know that guy. Like you can tell 10 stories about him. But for the outsider, it's just a name on a piece of paper. I'm like, hey, that guy's pretty good, but they wouldn't know.
No, exactly.
I definitely love the idea of a little extra content, or say maybe like a pre-tournament interview, a post-tournament interview with a few guys. If I remember correctly, I thought we tried that last year at the Autumn Open, but it was extremely loud when where was it Tim and Dex that were doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would love to see a little bit more of that, just as long as it's in maybe a bit of a quieter place, and try to promote some of these these names. Somebody goes out there, shoots 2,400 that wouldn't necessarily throw a 2,400. Yeah, let's get that person the 5 minutes of fame, and get their thoughts on what made it such a personal achievement for them.
Yeah.
I would even say too, like if anyone that's listening has any ideas or something that they want to, particularly see, like send them our way. Like, we're going to be pretty open-minded to, what sort of content we want to put out. And, if a bunch of people want to see something, yeah, we're going to go down that road for sure. So don't be afraid to, give us a shout out and say, hey, I ever thought of this, or I think this would be cool. We're definitely open to listening for sure.
Was it how many years ago? Was it 2-3 years ago that we did the what really plows my pin segment at TPC? We haven't released them because they're mostly not very PG. Yeah. But I still think we should almost just bite the bullet and post them, because you get to see the personality. I mean, if you don't know Len and Seth, you know Len and Seth after those interviews, right? Yeah. At some point, I would love to see those posted with Len's permission, because they're absolutely hilarious.
I think this is honestly a great idea. A lot of people look for personalities. I look for somebody relatable in certain aspects of the game or whatnot. I thought it was great. I think, was it last week, a couple days ago, there was a gentleman that messaged you guys, said, hey, like, I'm nervous about the club tour, and I don't know what to think or how to react. And I think these videos are kind of something people would look forward to, or at least can relate to in some sort of aspect.
Yeah. And it also puts them in that, like you said, puts them into that position without actually being there. At least it's kind of like doing your research ahead of time. If you're going to do it, you can go in and you can see what it's like down in the trenches and whatnot. I think it's a great idea.
You know what? And to be honest with you, like if we do really well with this, and I mean, I don't know what sort of expectations Mitch has, or I mean, I don't even know what expectations I have out of something like this sort of idea. But maybe out of this, we find a way to talk to these people that if I'm being honest, should be bowling these tournaments and aren't, and maybe there's some sort of keyword there that we can kind of hit on and say, here's what's going to convince you to realize that you're good enough. And I really think we can, if we put an honest effort on it, I think we can get a few bowlers just strictly on something like this alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I would totally agree. And like you said, you haven't followed Brad and Kyle very much. They're a big PBA duo that goes around. They drive to every tour stop. They travel, vlog, and all that stuff. But the biggest part of their channel is they're at the event and they're randomly interviewing the other tour members that happen to be on the lanes during practice sessions with them and stuff like that. It's the personalities, not so much of Brad and Kyle. It's who they're talking to that have the personality that makes the channel really good and really successful, right?
You say the one sticking point that I think that we might run into is just the attitude and the culture right now. And I mean, like, 10-pin's always been, quite a bit more cutthroat for sure at that level. But, there's that mentality that, I mean, there's going to be a lot of bowlers that don't want to be bugged. And I mean, we're gonna bug you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
We're gonna do it. So we'll
for
see how
sure.
it goes. I'm excited to try it. And, I mean, you really, if I'm being honest with you, you can't have a better guy to try and spearhead this and run with it than Mitch. I mean, as far
Because
as
he doesn't
our
care.
area,
No.
I mean, well, I mean, there's that, but I mean, like, if I'm being honest, he's for us in Ontario. There's Mitch, and then there's everybody else.
He's as big as it
and I don't
gets.
just mean ability, but I mean, in the personality himself,
Mm-hmm.
or like, he's the closest thing that we have to a celebrity in 5-pin bowling in our area. So, there isn't a better guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's able to draw out, personality just with his personality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's a very unique aspect.
Yeah. No, I think it's a perfect idea. I really like it. Speaking about this weekend, how are the club tour numbers looking?
We're sitting, I think, around. We're in the low 140s, I think.
Nice.
Obviously, there will be a little bit of juggling last minute, and I mean there always is, right? And obviously, having a 8-lane center presents some challenges, and I think we're doing a decent job of addressing those challenges, and us running a Thursday night shift and a Friday afternoon shift. As far as club tour is concerned, it's never happened. We've never done that. It's been a weekend tournament. Now we're trying to make it an event, and so far it seems very well received. I mean, we've got more than 20 entries for tomorrow night, and I think for us that's a victory for sure.
For sure.
And as it gets kind of down to the nitty gritty, and the one thing that I'll say too is we're taking 24, and with that and how well the place has been scoring this year, I think there's going to be a lot of people trying to get in those last couple shifts that have been bowling, Thursday and both shifts Friday, because I mean, I have no idea what the cut's going to be. I think it's going to be high, but I have no idea what it's going to be. And, there are going to be some people out there that are shooting 21.5 rate thinking, I don't think that's good enough. I'm going to have to bowl Saturday.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the numbers end up, what becomes of them. But I'm pretty excited with, it's up leaps and bounds over last year. And I thought we did pretty good last year too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
What do you think the cut's going to be?
I think the cut's going to, I mean, I'm higher than everybody. And I think it would be because, I take a lot of pride in our place. And I always, maybe I think scoring is a little better than it is. But I think cut's going to be 2,200. And I mean, everybody else is just shy of that. And I know 32nd last year was just over 2,000, and 24 was just short of 21, I believe. And I'm telling you, this place is scoring way better this year. And Mark DeLay is averaging almost 300. And key fun fact here is we put in the black bases a few months ago. His average has actually gone down since the black bases have been put on. So he was over 300 all the way up till the beginning of December. And I mean, he's sitting at like 297 right now. Absolutely ridiculous. So, I mean, the scores are obviously going to be there if someone's averaging almost 300 for the season, this late in the season.
Yeah.
So there's been a few comments, just basically calling it, Elmira Dune, and
that's
fun
been
at
us.
I've never heard that before.
No,
That's
Well,
been
that's
basically
just
us.
Yeah.
Oh, just
I get it.
What do you attribute the really high scoring this year to? Because it was relatively decent last year as well, right?
For sure. Our bowlers are just really, really good. No, that's not true. Well, it is true.
No, that's
not
gotta
the
be
only
part
reason.
of it.
Crickets.
Well, the place has scored fairly well, and I mean, our Tuesday Pro League, it's a tiny league. Like you'd laugh to hear the size. We've got 5 teams of 3, with 15 bowlers, and in this league, in the last 3 seasons, 2.5 seasons, it's been a perfect game every year. and throw that in with DJ Villeneuve's 11:55 triple, which was absolutely ridiculous. Never had a 400 in there, and and I kind of laughed because there was a few people that asked that he had 14:34 for 4 games, and everyone's asking like, oh, that's got to be close to record. I'm like, that's not even the highest this league's ever had. You know what I mean, like, and then that was before the black bases. Brett Sims had a higher score, but I don't know. Obviously, the black bases have helped in the long term. I mean, my average skyrocketed. I mean, I threw a perfect game the next night after I put the black bases on. So I mean, I can't say they haven't done a thing, and like kind of looks like it's very favorable for sure. But I don't know. It just feels like you get rewarded for a really good ball all the time. And now that we've got the black bases, 17-inch centers.
Yeah, the 17s and the black bases, putting those together is like, it seems to be like a godly result.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, like it's not pins falling all over the place. I mean, we do get it from time to time, but like DJ's 11:55 triple wasn't a string pull or a kickback the entire night. If he put it on the side, which was a lot, it was a strike every time. And it was just one of those things where he throws the ball, as soon as he lets it go, it's like, that's another strike. And being the guy having the bowl against him, like I was, it's like, oh, this is great. As soon as he lets it go, it's like, that's another strike. Yep, that's another strike. I told him at one point he was getting boring watching him because he didn't do anything else, right? So getting back to the original question, I think it's just a combination of everything, and it is a pretty comfortable bowling atmosphere. I think anytime, I know myself personally, anytime you can bowl in a center and the pins feel like they're fingertip away, like you're gonna score well, and this place just feels so short,
Right.
So I think that adds to it as well.
I just want you to come to the Heritage Traditional one year and see how debilitating Tough House is. It's
yeah,
insane.
I mean, we do have them. Like we in this area we do have some tougher centers, but I mean, we're definitely spoiled with I'm coming in here every day, and let's be honest, like I lose sleep over our place if it doesn't score well, and I pride myself, and as my wife does as well. We pride ourselves on making sure this place scores really well, because I really don't think any proprietor truly wants the place to score bad. I mean, I think any proprietor that tells you that they do is lying to you, because nobody wants their customers leaving on a weekly basis pissed off. Simple as that. You want them to come back. You want them to be happy about the sport, and the best way to do that is make sure the conditions are really good.
Mm-hmm. I think bowlers are complaining regardless, to be honest with you. I think it's
100%. I mean, I get blasted by my seniors on a weekly basis for sure. And I got to sit and listen to it and be like, a guy had almost 1,200 for 3 yesterday, but the corner pins aren't falling, and I'm sorry.
I hear you. It's funny. It's funny listening to you talk about scores and cuts. You're almost like Dexter's through the roof with score, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think my center's that good. And then all of a sudden, like,
mine was basically bang on. I said 2,200, and it was 2198. You said it was going to be like 2130.
I was hoping.
Basically, I'm just smart.
But Jeff, I can, like, this cut, I think totally, like, if you have so many good players in that place, regardless of how many entries and how long it is, it's gonna be there, I think. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
we played Innisfail, and if you talk about a tough center, Karie has to deal with that this weekend, but winning the master score was 2022. So, so I mean, I guess honestly, when you have good scoring too, confidence is through the roof. People just throw balls and they know it's going to be there, right? They don't have to worry about hitting a pocket or moving a line or whatnot either. So I can see their scores being there for sure.
Hopefully. I know I'll sleep well if they are. I mean, if the cut's a lot lower than I expected.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to be sleeping anyways because you're running the whole thing. So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for those 3 hours that I'm going to get some sleep, I want to make sure it's a good sleep.
Yeah.
What's the exact format, Jeff?
So we've definitely changed things up this year. We're trying to stray from the standard way we do things out here, and not that there's anything wrong with just like a standard match play kind of thing. Try to get a little bit creative, and to be honest, I really think we've come up with a format, and it would be a format I would say that you guys are not unfamiliar with, but Mitch and myself kind of spitball some ideas back and forth on something like what we think would be a really good format that would really crown a true champion, and take in top 24, and 24 are going to bowl an 8-game block. We're going to cut down to 16. 16 are going to go into 2 pods, play everybody in your pod once. Win-loss record is determining factor. Pinfall is the tiebreaker. We're going to cut 4 out of each pod, 1 pod of 8, and same thing, do it all over again. And then we're going to do 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3, winner versus winner. So
Awesome.
in order for you to win, you're going to have to bowl 25 games on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I'm tired already.
Yep. Just thinking of it.
Time. I mean, if you look at how the Nebs club tour went, I mean, Mitch was in the 30s, for games bowled. Bobby threw a lot of games. I bowled 27 games, and I mean, you guys know just as well as I do. Like when you're doing it, you don't really notice it. But I mean, you look at the guys that were up there for the top placings, and those were some shooters, and they earned their places for sure. So hopefully it's going to be something similar, because we want the best bowler to win. We don't want someone that just gets hot for a few games to take advantage of some scores. We want to see the best bowler, and I think we've got a format that's going to nail that.
Yeah, I think it'd be a travesty if you had a tournament that size and you played less than 20 games to win the tournament. It seems kind of silly.
Yeah,
but that's the way we've always done it around here, right? Like we do a 2-game match, and we take, say, 32, and you just fly right through it just like that, and and you're on your way home. And I just for the guys that are making the cut, there's some value in knowing that they're going to be bowling at least 8 games, no matter what. I mean, they can stink the joint out, and they're still bowling 8 games, so they're still going to get their value out of making the cut, as opposed to bowling 2 games and getting put through the bandsaw on somebody, and you're on your way home after 2 games. So we'll see how it goes.
Sure.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. It's kind of a mixture of out west here. It's kind of a mixture of Autumn Open and Heritage Traditional without the bonus sticks, but I like it. I really like the format.
The actual pod setup is really taken from the DPBA, the Professional Duckpin Association's their way of doing things for playoffs, because they always do pods as soon as you make the playoffs, and you play everybody in your pod, and they usually take a couple out of each pod to do a step ladder or brackets or something like that. So that's pretty much where we got that from.
So once you're getting to the 16, you're putting more weight on the record than pinfall.
Yeah, because it's a good mix, right? Because you're going for score of the first 8, then you're trying to win the next, your next two blocks, and then you're straight head to head for winner take all.
See, this is where pinners come in. Hey, Jeff, maybe pinners.
Yeah, right. Pinners are not winners. I guarantee you, whoever wins the tournament is going to be throwing a lot of strikes.
Yeah.
So who you picking to win? And don't say Mark. Don't say Mark, because
or Mitch, or yourself.
Mitch.
Well, I mean, I would never pick myself anyway, but
Weber would.
I would.
I'll pick him too, so it makes sense, right? So basically, by saying I can't pick Mitch or Mark, you want a dark horse. That's what you're saying.
Educated dark horse.
That's kind of how it shakes down, right?
Yeah. Not Jared Couchman either. All right.
No, he's going to get into the twisted tees, so he's going to be in trouble. And, actually, I ran out of pepper shine. He's had a bad experience with some pepper moonshine here, so maybe I got to pick up a bottle of that and see if I can.
Okay, good call.
Picking to win. I mean, you took the two away from me that I mean, they'd be the go-tos for sure.
Yeah.
Instead of saying a person, I'm going to say a style. It's going to be a hard thrower that gets the ball out. Maybe taking away a little home field advantage to anyone that might be listening that's bowling this weekend. You can't drop the ball here. Anybody that hammers the ball into lanes will not score. And then obviously with, the black bases and the 17-inch centers, like somebody can get on a crazy run and throw some real bangers up there. I'd be looking for someone maybe like
Mike Herbert.
I mean, he could score here. He definitely doesn't drop the ball.
No. Oh, there was a bot on your lips, though. There was a bot
I'm going
on
to
your
say,
lips.
like,
that sounds terrible.
there's so many guys that I really do think that can really, crank it up to, like, Zach Waggle. I don't know. You might not know that name. He's a local bowler. He always bowls well here. John Cowan would probably be, he gets on a run and gets hot. He'd be a tough guy to unseat here. Another name that you wouldn't know would be Mitch Pape. Always bowls well. I mean, he averages 275 in league here. So he throws a ton of rotation with, some good speed. I mean, those guys would be tough. Doug Brock. I mean, guys that are going to get on a run. I always say here, once you find it, it's hard to get it to go away. I mean, that's not a problem, right? Like, that's a good thing. But if you can figure this place out, I mean, you can go on just ridiculous runs, and that's why we see 1,400 quads. To be honest with you, I mean, there's been 3 of them in the last, I guess calendar year. And that's all it is just somebody's like, oh, I've got to figure it out, and bang, 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 and they don't stop. There's nothing that's going to derail them.
I think those are good
all
picks.
Right. Yeah.
Who'd you really want to pick?
Yeah, exactly. Pick one.
Mark, for sure.
Yeah.
Spot. Pick one.
That he is, like, I mean, it'd be one thing for me to be saying, oh yeah, there's a guy that averages almost 300 here, and you've never heard of the guy. But I mean, he's got the track record too, and he knows what it takes to win. He's won multiple events at Club Tour, and and same goes for Mitch. Every time he comes up here, he lights the place up. And I mean, with all the wins that he has on Club Tour, I mean, how do you not pick one of those two guys? To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Good call.
Mitch is like the polar opposite of your ideal style for this place, though.
Yeah, but to give him credit, like, he wouldn't be like. Because I know he's probably going to listen. No, in all seriousness, that just shows the ability that he's so smart of a bowler that, I mean, he does throw a good speed that will score.
Mm-hmm.
He might not get quite as much splash as the harder throwers do, but for raw ability and understanding the game and being able to make adjustments, I mean, he's going to score anywhere. But he's, like I said, he always lights the place up because he figures it out and then it doesn't go away.
Hey, Jeff, I have to stop you there. We're pumping Mitch's tires way too much.
Yeah, okay, so
Let's
he's
move on.
I think he's going to shoot about 1850.
And then play a second shift and shoot 2,500.
He's going to get into the
fine.
rise. And him and Garrett are going to get him some twisted tees, and he's going to miss the cut by 350.
Perfect.
Yeah. Hey, perfect. Well, thanks for the rundown of the club tour. I hope you guys have a great weekend. It sounds like you're in for a good one. So.
Yeah.
Since you're one of our very first guests, we have instituted a special guest questionnaire kind of throughout the last, I guess, probably 40 episodes. So who is your bowling mentor growing up, Jeff?
Bowling mentor.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Growing up, parents were very key. Mike Bentley was big. The Hyatt family. One kind of anecdote that I would say about mentor when I was growing up. I bowled Sherwood Center for a few years, all the way up to my second year Bantams, and moved to Mountain Lanes. And I had a coach who made bowling fun for me. If I got a spare or strike, Jeff gets candy, get a triple, that's a full chocolate bar. That made bowling fun, and it was goal oriented. And I really feel like Christy Hyatt would be a big name for me because she really accelerated my desire to do well, because what kid doesn't like candy? But two, really instilled understanding goals. Now, she wasn't really the one to say like the more technical aspects, but I feel like that set me up for working with someone like Mike Bentley. Now, Mike Bentley we used to bowl a Friday night men's league, and I would bowl after the men's league was over, and I'd bowl at 1 o'clock in the morning. And, he would sit there and just basically drink the whole time and just absolutely blast me if I threw a bad ball, and would spend the time, hearing from the family afterwards, got in a little bit of trouble. Be like, how drunk my dad was when he got home. Like, he had to get up at 5 in the morning and he still reeked. And it's like, oops, and that's what he was doing. He was, working with me. And I really think that that's where all my, my progress came. One, having someone that took the time, but putting all those games in. And I mean, I'd throw 20 games on a Friday night every week when I was 16. So
that goal orientation that you're going, that candy for a spare or a strike, that's Tim's still goal orientation every time he plays. So it works out good. Yeah. Besides your own
Cookie
tournament,
Monster.
What is your favorite tournament?
Favorite tournament? It'd be tough not to say the Open. There's strategy. There's a lot of drama that could, you could find yourself in, and there's a few of us that always kind of talk about it, and the Open's always tougher than we think than saying if you're going to Masters Nationals, because there's so much more involved. There's 5 guys in Masters, and you have that extra guy, and how are those personalities going to join together, and how are you going to take getting pulled, and that just adds an extra dynamic, plus the history of the game and that tournament in particular. It's second to none, and when you win that, it's just got a different feeling to it.
That's a good take on it. I agree. There's a lot of different aspects to the Open Nationals for sure. Just to touch on that, and you guys can add your thoughts to it. When we won Masters Nationals, and maybe it was due to it was the 100-year anniversary, maybe that had something to do with it. But it felt more to me than when we won the Open, and I don't know why. The group of people was close either way. It was pretty much the exact same people I won Masters with that I won the Open with. But it just felt different. It felt like a bigger prestige winning Masters for some reason. But like I said, maybe it was the situation that it was a 100-year anniversary and it was in, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's so much that can go extra into an event each in particular year,
Or who hosts it, or maybe that has something to do with it.
I personally, I've never won a Masters. I won an Open, but I'll say right now, I think it's your first win. I mean, it was probably your first Master, right?
Yep.
I I absolutely cherish my 2010 national gold with the men's. I'll always remember, and it was different winning compared to a youth one, because when you win an adult one, it means something because you're in the record books. It's not just a YBC event. I probably would have felt that same way with the Masters. I just winning a national gold in that situation. Obviously, Dex on the team made it a little bit different, but I'll say, and then I won another one in 2017, and it didn't feel the same. It was great feeling, but it wasn't your first one, and I think to me that makes a big difference.
I agree to some extent. Like 2010, that national win is probably the one that stands out the most for me too, because like I said, there's certain triggers, and we talked about it when Bruce was on. I remember winning nationals, and like the second that we won, Bruce was the first one to turn around and shake my hand and be like, "You are a national champion," and it still gives me goosebumps. But winning Masters and winning the Open, and I've won Masters in between me winning the two Opens that I've won. I still think that winning the Open feels better, and the only reason being is that I think it's the way you win. Masters is almost anticlimactic at times. It can be, because it can be over before that last game, and you simply just don't have that in the Open. Okay, here we go, team versus team, winner takes all, let's go. Whereas the Masters doesn't have that. You can have your tournament wrapped up with 2 games to go.
Yeah.
Or at least have a significant lead where you're going to be up 6 and you just need to win 2 individual matches or something like that to shut it out.
To go along with that, actually, my first national gold was 2003 in Gatineau for Masters, and we had it wrapped up with a game to go, and I was definitely very blue. I mean, I barely even knew what I was getting myself into when it came to that event, and had never been to a nationals before, and I guess kind of to go along with what Tim is saying too, or when we won in 2012 for the Open for our men's team, out of Hamilton, that had never happened from a Hamilton men's team before. So maybe that's why. And we had some really good teams leading up to that, and we didn't even get a sniff at winning a nationals for the Open. So maybe it means more to me just strictly because it was a lot harder work, and maybe I took my first experience at Masters for granted because I really didn't know any better back then.
Right.
Yeah, I think the Masters in Alberta, especially, just having that opportunity to play with some of the greats from all the different zones, there's something just different about getting to a Masters Nationals versus an Open Nationals, where you've gotten through 2 battles with that team just to even get there, essentially, right? So I don't know. I personally, I've always loved the Open. I love the formats of the Open. I love having that opportunity to come from 3rd or 4th to run through a step ladder as a team, or even 5th from a step ladder in a single. I love the singles format in Masters better.
Yes.
I do like the win 2 out of 3 type style of it. But for me, I've had so much more success at the Open than the Masters. So I think that's probably the difference.
Because I feel like, and this is just my personal opinion, I feel like Masters and the Open have the singles formats flopped. It's interesting. I don't know. The entire Open is all about the match play, and then all of a sudden the Open, it's pinfall for the first 3 days. And that's really weird to me. I feel like the head-to-head would make more sense. And then the Masters, I mean, the team is very obviously match play oriented, but to get there, it was all pinfall based. So I would understand it being pinfall based more so on the Masters side. It's interesting to me, but I agree. I think I like, having not competed in either of them, I think I would prefer to play the Masters format just because the match play head to head all the way through. I like that.
Yeah. So do you have a toughest or a favorite match?
A toughest or favorite?
Yeah.
I don't know. The toughest matches would be the two guys we've already mentioned. Anytime Bull, Mitch, or Mark are always tough. Favorite match? I'm gonna say, if I were to pick like one in particular, it's like single game match that I've ever had, would have been 2012 against Freddie Toffelmeyer. 386 to 385 victory. While that number was, I mean that's a crazy match just to begin with, but you know, Freddie hadn't had a whole lot of experience from the 5-pin aspect at that point yet, and you know, probably one of the most likable guys that I've bowled against, and it was just a really fun game. In a fun tournament that, I mean, we got a lot of success out of that tournament, but I just think from a standpoint of if I were to be watching something like that, to see something like that would be, you know, a spectacle for sure. So that would have to be. I mean, anytime I talk to people and they ask questions about match play, I always bring up that game where, you know, like, you can't beat 386 385 is a pretty ridiculous single head-to-head match. So.
No, for sure it is, and especially against a player. I know Freddie didn't have much experience back then, but the player he turned out to be was.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm pretty sure it was pretty much his first year of exposure, because he was Nova Scotia, right? So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And probably still the same intensity that he has today.
Oh yeah, it was unreal. Yeah. And you know what? And while he's intense though, like you say, he's a likable guy.
Super.
He did it the right way. Like, it's not I mean, it has some experience where somebody has rubbed me the wrong way with intensity, and you know, I beat them up for years after that. Every time we bowled them, because it was a wrong kind of intensity. You know, where someone would cross over on my lane, you know, after throwing a shot, and I mean, I don't really want to name them, but they crossed over onto my lane, and it did it, you know, first time, and it was like, okay, that's a flyer because maybe you're drifting that way. And then the very next frame did it again, going the other way, and I'm like, okay, now you're doing it on purpose. And as the game kind of went on, I did it to him, and just like, you know, you want to play that game, I can play that game too. And at the end of the game, he refused to shake my hand. So you know, I held that not just to that individual, but to the province for quite a few years after that.
You should have took off your helmet during his anthem.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the same thing, right? Like, I mean, I didn't even start it, right? I mean, to sound arrogant, I didn't start it, but I finished it, and he didn't like that. And, you know, you still need to be respectful.
Yep.
So, you know.
Yeah, that's all we have in our game. It's just basically our word and our respect for each other. And yeah, I totally get it.
So what's in your arsenal?
Well, you guys are going to be excited to know that I am a Starline thrower.
What? No way.
Yeah,
I'm the only one that's excited to hear that. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I played with Starlines for years.
I've won a few tournaments with Starlines. They're all right.
You should go back to them.
I have one set of bowling balls that you're pretty much only ever going to see me throw. It's the Starline Globe balls. The only year they made a personalized Starline Globe ball. I bought a set. I was 16, so I'm 40 now. So it's a little while ago. And I mean, they've been my staple since then. I do have a couple other bowling balls that just kind of weigh my bowling bag down, to be honest with you. So I have a couple Comets. I used to have some of the duck pin style, the ABC Comets, which I sold to a league bowler, which I still wish I didn't. So I've got 2 Comets, and I've got our one test ball. I know last time we were on, we were talking about our bowling ball venture, which has been really slow, but I do have a throwable test ball. And I mean, I don't really ever use it in the league, but you know, I might throw it a few times in warm up, more just to see what it's like and see what kind of action, or hand it to somebody to see what they might like out of it. But glow ball Starline all the way, and I wouldn't throw anything else. Yeah.
What size and weight after so
5
many
inch,
years?
5 inch, and well, I mean they were 310, but they're not 310 anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and they got a couple deep cracks. I actually sold them to somebody, and then I had to buy them back. I'm like, after a couple years, I'm like, I can't do this. I don't feel like me anymore. I need to buy them. So I bought them back. Yeah.
I hope he upcharged you.
He did not. He did not.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
Poor businessman, but nice guy.
Hey, whatever it takes.
What bowling shoes do you use?
I have a pair of loafers. Yeah, I
You
mean,
are
oh,
40.
man.
You are 40 years old. Yeah.
I can show you them, but I mean, like, no one's gonna see what they look like other than you guys. But I literally like slip-on loafers that I've got slider on. They are just really comfortable, and I do a lot of my bowling in my own place. And I gotta go behind the counter. I gotta go, behind and fix the machine, and I don't want my bowling shoes on while I'm doing that. So they're just the easiest thing to slide off, and like I said, they're just so comfortable. And I can't wear like a regular bowling shoe. I had Storms, and I think the second time I wore them, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need to find something that's way more comfortable. And having foot issues and that from I'm probably just getting old. I need to have a shoe that's really comfortable. I just find that a standard bowling shoe like a Dexter or a Storm is just feels like a rock in the sole. Like it's just so hard. And I just need some shoe with some cushioning.
I was gonna say you have foot issues. That's gout because you're rich and probably eat a lot of red meat.
Yes, that's totally what it is. Actually, I fractured a bone in my foot last in July, and I've been dealing with some ankle issues. It's basically a bad sprain, but I'm still doing physio for it now. But so I fractured this bone in my foot. And I had no idea I did it. I knew something was wrong. Like I was pretty sure that I did some damage, but it hadn't been confirmed. It was a fractured bone. And a couple weeks later, the Wednesday before I left for a duckpin tournament, I was still on crutches, and I left Friday morning, and I bowled with a broken foot. I had no idea. It was like, I had a pretty good idea it was broken, but it wasn't confirmed that it was broken. So, for me, my feet, like, this stuff is really serious for me now. Like, it's something that I really need to take care of, and it starts with your shoes, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, especially when you're spending all day standing, right?
Yeah, I don't get off my feet.
So do you have an item on your bucket list you want to complete before you hang up your shoes, your loafers?
Before I hang up my loafers, there is one goal that I have that is, I guess, shorter term, and it's not 5-pin based, it's duck-pin based. I'd like to go into the DPBA Hall of Fame, and I'm very close, only a few points away. And I just like how they have that set up. It's points based earned to get in, not, hey, let's wait till you're 50. And I'm very against that whole idea, how we do it anyway, where, you have to hit an age to tell you you're good enough to be in. And, not to keep continually tooting his horn, but I mean, like, if somebody like Mitch Davies is Hall of Fame worthy, what age is that? You know what I mean? Like, does it have to be 50? No, it doesn't. And
39.
But, I just think that you want to showcase your talented bowlers and give them this prestigious honor of being in the Hall of Fame. Just hate seeing it when they don't have that ability anymore. And, they're just a shell of their former bowlers. And when it comes to duckpin, there's guys that are, in their 30s that are, they're Hall of Famers, and they've earned it. And there's definitely a lot of honor and prestige that goes with that. For 5-pin, I mean, nothing that I'm going to accomplish in the next little bit. It's a singles title, and I'm not bowling anything. I never bowled the Open this year, and I'm not bowling Masters. So I mean, that's going to be kind of on the shelf for a while. But I mean, my schedule doesn't allow me to do a lot of that stuff, unfortunately. So that's going to be on the back burner for sure.
That 50-year thing, is that for the Ontario Hall of
Yeah.
Fame? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it exists for the C5, right, Tim?
No.
It's point-based as well.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the way it should be done. You know, if you've got your stars of bowling, and I'm a big advocate for promoting our stars, if they're good enough to get in, why wait? You know?
Absolutely. I Dexter said it right, and I brought it up at the meetings again.
I
There's
say lots of things right.
not really, but you can't, in this sport, we don't retire, a lot of us, right? So when you, like baseball, right? When you retire, you get to have X amount of years, right? And you just never know. For example, say, Adam gets ran over tomorrow. I mean, that's fine for the open trials, but I mean, he would never have that opportunity, right, to experience it. So I just think it's, if it's points based and it's correct, then it's kind of the way it should be, right? So
Yeah,
For sure.
you guys have definitely turned me around on that. I was a big advocate for, I think they should be retired before they get inducted to the Hall of Fame, because it seems weird to me that a Hall of Famer is still in their prime, winning tournament after tournament after tournament. So you have to keep updating the Hall of Fame records and all that stuff. I do get that, yeah, there isn't really a retirement age for professional 5-pin bowling, competitive 5-pin bowling, so that definitely makes sense. But Tim, your explanation of he could be hit by the bus tomorrow, so it could be a Major League Baseball player, but like that doesn't make any difference.
The one thing that I'll say, because I've been kind of an advocate for this for a couple years now. I get a lot of people that say, well, Major League Baseball doesn't do it like that. Major League Baseball isn't suffering for an image. 5-pin bowling is. They don't have a problem promoting their stars. You get Mike Trout. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. We all know that. But I mean, he's a big star. Bryce Harper, same thing. We don't do as good of a job. And if we can kind of put one more designation in there to, tell people like, hey, this guy is the bowler of all bowlers. We need to do that, and we need to kind of, put them in the forefront where people recognize them for one more additional thing that they've done and they've deserved. And baseball doesn't need to do that because, for the Derek Jeters and the Larry Walkers that get in the Hall of Fame, and that was a big one for me, once they're done playing, someone takes their spot. But we don't necessarily have that. Their numbers aren't really crashing at the Major League level. But, I mean, we don't necessarily see that in 5-pin bowling.
Yeah, and to be fair, the C5, like, there's going to be growing pains with this Hall of Fame thing, right? It's been 100 years, and it's going to take some learning to figure out when a person should be inducted. And I'm not saying that anybody that has been inducted shouldn't have been. Everybody is well deserving. It's just timing may not have been the greatest, but hey, I'm more than happy to celebrate Adam's Hall of Fame. There is nobody would ever say I'm against it. I just, maybe he could have waited a few more years. There's probably people in the game that deserved it before that, but they'll still be inducted in the years to come. So
yeah.
And I think one thing to keep in mind too is just because if it ever gets put in play, and at least in our level anyway, where they can get in before they're 50, doesn't mean they're going to get in before they're 50. It's not like we're opening the floodgates and saying, well, this guy's had a pretty good couple years, let's get him in there. They're still going to need to deserve
still
it.
a point
They might not get in. Your guys are probably going to be, instead of being 50, they might be 45, 47.
Or 39.
They might get in a couple years early. But you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be drastic. You're not going to see some 20-year-old, light it up for a year, and then people go, well, he might be a Hall of Famer. It's not going to
you were talking about goals earlier, and unfortunately, a lot in our game has gone to like inclusion-based over performance-based. So to me, it's nice to have one more goal to have that does require you to get better, and not only get better, but to excel at the highest level. So I think that's something important in our game that we've needed it too.
Yeah, and I think for us anyway, like we don't know what a Hall of Famer is in Ontario. Like, I don't know what really the guidelines are. I mean, I've talked to people that are on the committee. It's an opinion based, but I mean, what do I need to do to be a Hall of Famer? Do I have more stuff to do? Am I good enough now? I have no idea. At age 40, I'm 10 years out. You know, um, what is that definition? We don't know, and it would be nice to know what we need to do. And for a lot of people, maybe you see people that are, say, around my age, or 45, and they're kind of, their desire is kind of fizzling. Maybe they hang on for a couple more years and bowl
For sure they
do
do.
more events if they know, like, hey, if I do well in the next couple of years in this event, I'm going to have everything I need that's required for me to be in a Hall of Fame, and I'll be recognized for it. So maybe I'll just go ahead and do that. Maybe we get these guys that are, kind of on the fence of whether they're going to continue to be competitive bowlers, to continue to be competitive bowlers.
Mhm. I'm completely against. I'm completely for point system and performance based than just selection. Or I hate when associations have ballots, or you send in a resume for something. I strongly against it. I'd rather have your accolades speak for themselves than somebody committee picking something. That's my two cents on it. But
Yeah. So Adam, just don't bet on the sport in the next 10 years, so they have to
You'll
take
be
you
fine.
out of the Hall of Fame. That's all.
oh, I would love to take that. Yeah.
No buzzers either. No
Yeah.
garbage can banging.
Yeah,
Guys,
yeah.
it'll be all right.
Hey everybody, so we also have a draw that we're going to do for our Patreon members. So I'll just go through the list of our Patreon members. There was 18, and we're going to give away 3 shirts, so we'll do a randomization for them. Our first one is Adam Weber, Al Paquette, Amber Ashton, Bobby Kite, Chris McCreet, Dexter, Eric Chose, JB Rainsberger, Jarrett Couchman, Ken Wilson, Luke St. George's, Michelle Manton, Mitch Davies, Mitchell Ryu, Robert Wolfson, and Sean Langlois, Thomas Roskowicz. I don't know how to pronounce his name. And Tim
Roskowicz,
Gadd. Roskowicz?
Yeah.
All right.
Both two of them are SureBowl workers.
Yeah. So we'll randomize it 3 times, and we'll give away the shirts to the number 1 on each randomization. So
Did I hear Tim Wiseman in that list?
No.
Wow.
Oh my!
Wow.
Karie Kreutz is not on there either.
Yeah, it's
he
because
runs the
I
thing,
don't
though.
want it.
Okay, all he does is collect.
That's right.
Yeah.
So first one is Thomas Roskowicz. And then
Yes.
going again, JB Rainsberger. He's already received one, so I will talk to him, see if he wants another one. If not, we will give one away next week. And then the last one is Eric Chose.
Oh, that's good.
All right.
Alrighty.
Yet another Raz I don't win.
All right.
good. Congrats, guys.
Oh, perfect. Jeff, yes. We're all wondering, what is your favorite cereal? Is it Cheerios?
Nothing General Mills.
Wow.
Well,
It's pretty specific.
Yeah. No story behind it whatsoever. Just
That's
for some
fair.
reason that brand of cereals just doesn't jive with me,
Well, I do have one last topic, and it may be a controversial one, but what are your guys' thoughts on loyalty to teams that you've played with years in a row? Do you feel that there should be, I guess I shouldn't use the word loyalty. Do you think there should be a general line if the team's not playing well? Do you look elsewhere for better teams or people you play better with, or that kind of situation? Because as we know, we play through all these cash tournaments. There's Baker's events, there's trios events, there's doubles events. When do you cut the ties? Because obviously there's going to be jumbling around, and me and Tim have been a part of cutting ties a few times. I've done it in doubles events, and inside, there is another one coming up here for the next part of this group, but do you feel like there should be any type of loyalty, or is it money first or placing first? Not even, I guess I shouldn't say money, because there isn't a lot of money in these events. It's who you want to play with or situations like that.
So truthfully, it's not even like money for me. I've had loyalty to teams that I've won with. So there was the one year where we ended up winning, and then I played with them the second year, and we came in second, and I played them the third year. But other than that, honestly, we're at these cash tournaments with people that we don't see very often or never get an opportunity to play with, and that's kind of what it is for me more than anything. Money's nice.
So it's a personal thing. You're saying it's a personal thing that you chose not to be part of that team.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I cut you and Karie.
So for our podcast listeners out there, Karie got dumped off 2 teams, and I think our team is going to be a better gelled, honestly, in Regina. So I'm not really too worried about that, Karie. I am trying to.
Excuse me. I just want to point out that Adam Weber has the best gelled hair in the game, so you should stop that.
You know what? Honestly, in the past, I hate to say it, I have been on teams that, or not recently, maybe for my doubles, that I didn't necessarily want to play with anymore, but you feel obligated to play with them. I'm to be honest with you, any team we play on most times is going to have a chance to do well. Just obviously, I like you as a person, Karie. I don't know about those two, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay enjoying my company, and we have a chance to win anyway. So, Taylor's going to drink her amount of beer. He's going to take her quota and then some. So we're going to be okay.
Yeah, kind of to mirror Dex a little bit. I don't think loyalty is the right word for it as well. I think we really just want to have fun at these events. We want to play with players that we don't always have a chance to play with, or kind of mix year after year. And I will do the same thing. Like if we win a certain year, or we finish like top 2 or 3 making some money, there's a good chance we'll play again that next year. Unless there's maybe a bucket list type player that you actually have a chance to play with. So this year, I had the opportunity to play with Mitch, who I've never played an event with, and Greg DeGrasse, who I've never played an event with. So I kind of jumped at that, and I don't think it's a loyalty thing. I think you're making it bigger than it really is with that word. Because I'm huge on loyalty, so that's why I don't think this is a break of loyalty.
So Adam, that was your trios team, right, in Regina? So can you explain to listeners what your Baker's team is in Red Deer?
2 years ago. So 2 years ago we won. Two years ago we won. Last year we were terrible.
Okay.
And I had an opportunity to play with another team this year. So
who's on that team?
I jumped on it.
Who's on?
Well, arguably 3 of the top 5 players in the country.
Okay, so
I jumped at it.
So Mitch, Greg, and Dex, right? So
correct.
Okay, all right. Just want to know what you're doing, because you haven't played with them in forever, and you're playing with them twice. So
absolutely.
That's perfect, because you know what? In 3 years, when you expect a different team.
Me and Dex play events all the time. Now, on the flip side, in Regina, we're playing the same 4 player that we won money with last year.
So, right? Jeff, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking Mitch must have passed this question on, because we bowled best ball for quite a few years together, him and I. The last couple of years, I've been absolutely terrible. I guess I'm being the Karie here in the situation where, somehow I'm sitting here thinking, we've signed up to bowl again, and I'm like, why are you putting yourself through this, man? You can bowl someone else. But I don't want to say that, because I want to keep bowling the guy, right? But yeah, I mean, all kidding aside, there's definitely the yeah, I guess we keep coming to the word loyalty, but I also don't think that's the right word. But you keep coming back to the same teams, and there would definitely be that awkward moment where someone's just kind of like, I got a chance to go and bowl with so and so, a couple jobbers like Mitch and Greg. I don't know why you're bowling with them, Adam, because they're not going to take you very far. They're not that good, I don't think. But I mean, even if it's not like those two absolutely prestigious bowlers, and it could just be someone that you just really gel well with, and you want the opportunity to bowl with, there's definitely going to be that awkward moment where it's kind of like, it's like a breakup, really, to be honest with you, and it doesn't need to be. Karie, there's plenty of fish in the sea, bud.
No,
I'll bowl on your team, Karie. I'll bowl on your team anytime.
The only reason I bring up the question is because nobody else would. I could care less. Yeah. If people want to play with other teams, play with other teams.
Your face looked like you felt otherwise.
You care a little.
No,
yeah.
No, not at all. Because I was that guy that jumped teams too. Me and Tim dropped Aaron Arndt, and Aaron was pretty much one of the best players in the country shortly after we did that. Like, he won both Masters back to back. And it is what it is. If you're not playing well with the teams,
I won Bakers in Regina the one year with Arndt in the Wiltons.
Yeah.
So I mean, they ditched me the next year. I mean, I didn't go back to Regina. I don't know why they ditched me.
No,
filled my spot up.
I just think if you want to play with certain people and you have the opportunity, do it. You're not going to run into those situations very often, and you're only a part of the sport for so long. So you have the opportunities, do it.
I will say, like, the one thing that that I would say rings true with a lot of bowlers is you kind of get up to a level and there's egos, and there's that period of somebody not wanting to bowl with you, and you've never experienced that. Like, everybody wants to bowl with you, and then you get to someone who's going to go somewhere else, and that's kind of like a shell shock, where you've kind of always been the guy, and then you're with other bowlers of that same level, and they might go a different, and then it might not be results oriented either. It just might be like, oh well, I just want to go bowl with this person because maybe they took a year off or something. And it's tough to emotionally navigate that because you're dealing with, as much as we like to say we all have ego, and we've earned it because of successes, but you kind of get stepped on a little bit, and you don't know how to react to it because that's not something you've ever been put through, to be honest.
Yeah, no, and it's gonna be something that's part of the sport for a long time, right? Like,
yeah, but Karie, don't worry though. Next time I come out west, I'd bowl with you.
So when we're both 50, awesome.
Yeah. Hard. So you might question the loyalty by having to bowl with me for a second here.
It'll be Team Loafer.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. Don't knock until you try it.
Awesome.
Tim, you had one topic, eh?
I do have one thing I want to quick mention because Jeff is on the podcast. We're both big baseball fans. Larry Walker made the Hall of Fame. I just want to congratulate him. Yeah. For some of you guys don't know, he actually was a 5-pin bowler. He 1983 Fraser Valley champion junior boys single.
There you go.
I just found that out beforehand. Pretty cool.
Now he's rocking. He's rocking a SpongeBob shirt.
SpongeBob shirt, yeah. Just to put that in perspective, Doug Mosdale, C5 Hall of Famer, won that in '76, and Gil Baldwin won it in '64. So, pretty interesting stats there. But yeah, you just never know who is a 5-pin bowler. A lot of people do that. Jerome Ginla was one. Dean Brody was another. So it's kind of a small world there.
Who's that country singer?
Dallas Smith?
Yeah, that guy.
Dallas Smith. Sorry, not Dean Brody. Dallas Smith was.
Used to be a default too, I think, right? Rock band.
No. He's a country singer. He's from the Lower Mainland, BC.
Yeah, I think he was part of Default and then went country.
No.
What is it? Is it like
I like
Darius
how
Rucker?
Tim automatically says no, but he's gonna look it up after and then text you.
And then find out that I'm right.
Yeah, because he's a big country fan. And he doesn't believe that any of them could have been a rocker before.
I thought you meant Default.
Oh, music group, Default.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, weird. Hey, Tim? Maybe you shouldn't automatically say no when you don't know.
You're not smarter than Google. Go figure.
But I literally have no idea what he does in country. So,
Anyways, go Larry Walker.
Yeah,
All
big
right,
congrats to him there.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I hear he's not going in as an expo though.
No, most of his time was spent in Colorado.
Yeah, it was all good.
He's always an expo to me, though.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming out. Let's shut this one down. This one's a long one, and I have lots of editing to do. So good luck this weekend, Jeff. Hopefully everything turns out great.
Yeah.
And
Good luck to all those playing the Open out there across the country.
we didn't forget about the Open. We just went off topic too much this podcast.
we were going to get to it.
Never happened.
Never. Not once.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate the time.
Anytime. Always a good
Hey,
chat
Jeff.
with you, Jeffy.